Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to another edition of Court Call with Ronnie Nunn. As always, I'm joined by Ronnie himself, who was an NBA referee for 19 years, was director of officials for 5 more, and is the man with the plan who knows about the rules of the game and how they should be interpreted. So, Ronnie, I can't thank you enough for coming on and breaking down some very, very interesting plays today.
Yeah, a couple of very unique plays that are not in the normal avenue of flagrants, yet they have some flagrant to them. So it's worth a discussion and a talk.
Without question, I think a lot of Thunder fans particularly are upset and confused. We're going to straighten them out, or we'll make them even more mad. We'll see what happens. So let's get to the first one we have, which is Russell Westbrook, the Thunder versus the Kings from a few nights ago. In the third quarter, a relatively normal ho-hum, fast break by Russ and a normal pull-up mid-range jumper we've seen him do millions of times before. Walk us through what happens here. How did the decision get made to call a flagrant on him?
Clearly, a player who's shooting is not done shooting until he comes to a landing that's a legal landing. So in other words, just for example, if a guy makes a layup and he makes or misses it, and then as he's coming down almost under the backboard or beyond it, his defender comes onto him. Well, that's the completion of the play. So the completion of the play is when the player returns to the floor in a legal manner or if he's fouled. Mm-hmm. In this case, there's no question that the defender is coming towards him. So it's an imminent foul. For sure, he's going to get a foul on this play because you can see that Westbrook can't land without being contacted. So the problem is, upon him coming down and upon Bogdanovich who's coming to him, is going to imminently foul him anyway. So I think what happens is Westbrook kind of defends himself maybe in a harsher way because he knows that's an injury-prone situation, and maybe he comes and rakes across the face of his opponent. Now, that's what the referee saw. I don't see any film that kind of doesn't say that didn't happen. So I think when you have a play like that, you can take a defensive play and make it an offensive play because the play is not complete. And the bolder of the two actions is what will take precedence.
I agree. And it was especially strange because they have a chance to review to figure out what went wrong. And again, most of the angles that I see, I don't see much there. I see, the natural body language of as I'm getting contact in the midsection area, you tend to fold and then the arms will come down to try and to regain your balance. So I'm very confused how they got as far as that. Now I understand, I think the idea being that the defender is vulnerable as well and he could get hit in the face on that. But do you agree with this call? Do you think they should have called the flagrant one on Russ?
Well, I'm going to go with the official's view. I think he has a great view. And I think he sees all of a sudden, because he has a defensive foul. When he puts his fist up, he's talking defense in NBA kind of interpretational thinking. But all of a sudden, he changes his mind and says, you know what, this is offense. And we've seen that many times on plays to the hoop where all of a sudden there's a late elbow to wrist clear out. And when the guy really got fouled, the elbow to wrist play made it the whole play trumped, to use a term, and kills the kind of play. But in this case, there was another option. I think one of the other options was to break the play up in two. Not to be fair to both sides, but to kind of break the play up in two. One is you have a defensive foul, and two is you take the flagrant one and you go from there. 2 separate plays, 2 separate free throws for 2 separate things. And I think we could have done that. The only thing that bothers me a little bit about my own option is that it's all almost in one play. And if I'm describing the play to the hoop type of play, we don't usually give a foul and all of a sudden an offensive foul. That's not the way we roll. So honestly, I think the best is what they came out with the flagrant one. If he raked him across his face and Westbrook took offense to knowing that he was coming down with somebody on him and he was clearing him out too in a rougher kind of harsher way. So flagrant one, I'm good with because I'm going with the official who's on the play, and no other view has allowed me to think otherwise.
Well, if you think that was unusual, I got another one for you that might be even more unusual in a lot of different things because later on, again, OKC versus Portland, we have another instance with Carmelo Anthony, and there's a lot of things going on here that I think lead into the ultimate flagrant 2 ejection for him, which we've all probably seen plenty of times on Twitter by now. But here's the thing I want to talk about really quickly to begin with. There is a swipe of his shot on the way up in the very beginning of this clip. And Melo keeps control of the ball and comes down with it. We've seen instances where referees miss a call that subsequently leads to something else. Had they made the first call properly, we don't get into a whole mess. I'm thinking about LeBron and Draymond in Game 4 of the finals a couple of years ago. But what do you make of that? Was that a clean swipe? It looked like a clean swipe. Should that have been called a jump ball, or was there no call to be made?
Yeah, on this kind of a play, I really think that the defender dislodges the ball to some degree from Melo's hands. Now, of course, if he tapped the ball and Melo came down with it, it would be a jump ball. All you have to do is tap a ball to create a jump ball. You don't have to have a held ball. So if he taps it and the offense comes down with it, we jump. But I thought in the left hand that the ball was somewhat dislodged, and I don't think Melo kind of dislodged it. I don't think he had a problem with the play. I think he had a problem when he came down. There was a possible raking of the face or a touch of the face, and those plays are close to impossible to confirm because the hand is so much quicker than the eye.
Fair enough. And this raking, it was obviously hard to know if he really did, or if he's flopping with it or not, but it definitely probably changed the tenor of this possession, right? Because I'm going to choose to believe that he did get hit in the face because he seemed angry about it, and that very well could have led to the next thing. Fine, you're not going to call that on me. I got hit in the face right in front of you. Well, then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to show people what's happening here, right? Like, I feel like that might have been part of his motivation. So let's get into the part where now we're attacking the basket and Nurkic comes over to help. What are you seeing here as far as what the referees were processing?
Well, first of all, this play comes from the center side or the slot side for college and NBA and EuroLeague and what have you. That position was kind of the toughest position to see what happened. But the other two guys on the other side could see. Let me first say one thing. Nurkic was vertical, and Nurkic was not at the hoop where Melo could lose his lane. He had a baseline lane where he could get to the hoop. He elected to go directly to him. So my first thinking of that is, as long as Nurkic is vertical, I got an offensive foul. The problem with this play is when he leads with the ball, the arms, and unfortunately, the forearm is connected to the elbow. And there's a song about that, I'm sure. But when it's connected, he actually catches him with the elbow part. Now, I don't think it's a thrust by the elbow. So that's why I didn't think it should be a flagrant 2. When you forward thrust an elbow or when you back thrust an elbow, now you're talking ejection. There's no question. But when you forward thrust your arms, forearm and the elbow, and all of a sudden the elbow unfortunately catches somebody, it's kind of like plays where when elbows go up, somebody goes into them, and it's not always an elbow flagrant 2 foul and ejection. So in that case, I would have gone with an offensive foul first, and to make sure we're understanding each other that this game is under control, I would have given it a flagrant 1, and we would have gone on to play.
Okay, waved about no bucket, flagrant 1, offensive foul. Now, again, as far as the verticality goes, he is still entitled to his vertical space in the air, even though he's in the restricted area, right? It doesn't apply to this instance where he's not trying to take a charge. Yeah, no, not in this point. Anytime you alight, so to speak, from the restricted area and you alight vertically, it makes you legal. Obviously, if you alight with a trajectory that we just saw in the other clip by Bogdanovich, that's not an alight that's vertical. That's an alight with a trajectory going towards the player. Right. Nurkic doesn't do that. He goes up vertically. So he's clean in this whole thing. And because Melo has this affinity to constantly look for people, I think he takes away so much of his ability to score sometimes because he's so creative. He should add this extra creation to get the contact but not lose his shot in the opportunity, because sometimes the call is there and sometimes it's not worthy of a call. And he's got to learn that, just like Allen Iverson did. You know, I do see, like, maybe not a thrusting out away from the body, but I do see it coming down, like as a double pump, which, you know, does indicate maybe trying to get the elbow right in position to the face. We don't know Melo to be a player like that necessarily, who has a reputation per se for doling out punishment like that punitively. So I suppose we can give him the benefit of the doubt. And he made the shot, so clearly there was some notion of, I do want to finish this shot and maintain my focus as an offensive player, short of being a bludgeon to hurt somebody. So I don't know, though. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a play like that with a double pump elbow to the face before. Have you?
No, like I said, this is an athletic, tremendous play, and the fact that he even gets the ball up and over the rim into the hoop is another tremendous thing. The bottom line is that he is seeking players, and when you do that, a couple of things can happen. You can seek him at the right time and get the two-shot foul or the and one. You can seek him when they're legal and get a no call if the contact doesn't warrant an action by either any of the officials towards either of the players, or you can get an offensive foul. And I'm more apt to call offensive fouls because I want to deter that kind of thinking when the player is legal. I don't want you just going into people because you've got a strength to scare people. Melo has that kind of strength to go to the hole at 6'9", and just like LeBron and others, he's a little softer on it, but he's always looking for the contact, and I think it takes away from his ability to convert.
Bottom line, you would give him a flagrant one, not just a regular offensive foul.
No, I would give him a flagrant one because the contact did go to the head of a player.
Right.
And the contact also has a flavor of the elbow in there too. And I think when you have an elbow play on a collision play, you got to attend to it. Now you have to say that the guy thrusted right at him to knock him out. Again, the forward thrust or the backward thrust. If that's, I don't even have to go to the film. You're gone.
Sure.
Although we have to go to the film today, but to confirm it. But the bottom line is, I think that play warrants a flagrant penalty one, unnecessary contact, and let's play ball because it's worse than an offensive foul.
Sure. Well, it definitely cost the Thunder dearly as they lost the game down the stretch at the buzzer pretty much without Melo's services for the second half. So definitely a bitter pill for the Thunder fans to swallow on both these plays, but a fantastic way to break down and get some more insight to perhaps make them feel better from you, Ronnie, the man who has all that insight. And so I can't thank you enough for coming on and breaking it down.
Coach Nick, it's a pleasure to come on. All these plays combined for me every time, especially me sitting here. As an official, as a coach, and as a player, three of the things I did, and what I'm most known for was officiating, which I love and I study. And the roots of my age alone bring me back to so many different things. So it's a pleasure to share. And also the uniqueness of players with creativity. I grew up in a city that saw all of that, even though I couldn't do half of it. So, but the bottom line is these are two unique plays.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on, breaking it down. And don't forget, sports fans, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. Are you in? Are you in, Ronnie?
I'm in all the time.